Hey, Brian, just curious about, kind of we saw the attitude of practice today. Things had to get a little bit of a restart. What did you think about the way that the guys performed after that happened?
Yeah, well, I thought obviously the response was probably what we wanted it to be, which was just, bringing more intensity and enthusiasm to what we're doing. So again, we have standards and we want to be unrelenting in those standards. And, those things really haven't been a problem and hadn't been a problem up to that point. But obviously there was enough of that where coach just didn't want to let it go. So we addressed it and started again and moved forward. And I thought guys responded pretty good. Probably all in all, it probably was a benefit, hopefully in the long run.
Is that kind of maybe exemplify some of the growing pains that you guys are all going through too? You guys haven't completed a first year on staff, and you still, I know you had a season obviously, but still the spring practice is unfamiliar. Do you think that this is kind of a building thing that everybody can work through?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, we there's a way that we're going to do things, and there's just a standard that we want to uphold and what we want to be about certain things. And if we're not getting that, then we got to find ways to get it. So I think our team understands that well, but we're just human beings. And sometimes as a human, we all, we don't quite, there's days, I guess, where we're just a little bit below the standard, and we got to be able to fight through it, and we got to find a way to make a difference. So I think that's growing pains for us today. And again, as I said, I think it'll be a benefit going down the road. I would like to think that those kind of things won't happen in the future.
And Brian, you guys brought in a number of transfers. Just how do you feel those guys have adjusted, to your system here in these first handful of practices?
Hey, I think we hit home runs with those guys. I think in terms of who they are and what they're about, I think they're solid individuals and great teammates. They've worked extremely hard. They're not expecting handouts and those kind of things, and so they've really gelled well. I give our team credit for welcoming those kind of guys. And I think we all know that obviously we need to improve. And that's one of the ways that we can improve and need to is we need talent, and we need to develop more competition within positions. So I believe we were able to do that. And again, so far it's been quite honestly better than I would have imagined it to be. Those guys have adjusted really well, been accepted really well, and they've stood out. Their work ethic and just how they've gone about it, I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, and with Lonnie specifically, you lose someone like Kyron, he's a big ad to bring in Lonnie. Just how have you seen Lonnie just adjust and handle everything?
Good. He's all business. He's got serious work ethic, and he's got ability to go along with it. He plays extremely hard all the time, and he wants to be coach. He wants to get better. But he's got the right mindset. He's got the right approach, and it's I'm gonna earn it. And so because I think they know, and everybody knows we're just not going to hand things out. So he's stepped right in. He's done a really good job. Again, he knows what to do, and he's got good ability. So he can be a handful out there because he's really quick.
Hey, Brian, you guys came in and it was a crash course last fall. You had very little time with these guys. How important is this spring to get the fundamentals down and get the guys to understand more of what you want?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can tell that we are miles ahead of where we were in the fall, just in terms of those things of learning what the expectations are, what are the things that we're really emphasizing. Then if you go to the schematics of what we're trying to do, just going through it again and kind of starting over again. Guys are, we pick up on stuff faster. We recall things better. And like I said, I feel like we're we're miles ahead in those areas. So it's been spring it's really valuable for us because obviously we didn't get that last year. And again, it's just going to help us so much more going into the fall because again, we'll be going through a lot of things again. And just the more, it's like anything else, the more you do something, the more comfortable that you feel and the better you're able to execute. So I think we're executing a lot better this spring.
Yeah. And then obviously you coach safeties and you've got Kenny Logan. And then the competition there. Can you just talk about overall the group of what you see with the safeties?
Yeah, I do. I think I can really say really any position that we have on defense, safeties, corners, defensive ends, defensive tackles, linebackers. I believe our competition level, the numbers of players who are competing really to get on the field and see action, I think is better at each position. But safeties in particular, obviously, we know Kenny's kind of the leader of that group. But we had other guys. OJ Burrows has really stepped up. He's put on some really good weight in the offseason, gained a lot of strength, and with that comes confidence in a lot of areas. So, but he shows up every day, does stuff every day that, all right, that's how it should look, and so he's been doing a real good job with that. Edwin White Schultz is another guy who just played a little bit last year, played a lot on special teams, but he's a really talented individual who's really just still a true freshman. And so there's still, he's still, his ability flashes, but obviously there's still things to learn as well. But, again, he's an extremely confident person and is very competitive. And Jason Gilliam is probably the other guy right now those would be our top 4 guys. And Jason, played a lot last year. He plays a lot in some of our substitute packages, kind of as our nickel. And but he really knows all the positions back there. He's very very heady kind of a player, and that's really his. That's really what helps him the most is that he's versatile and can and knows what to do at a lot of different spots. So I think those 4 guys right now going into it would be our, if we played tomorrow, those would probably be our top 4 guys. And again, I believe that any one of those guys can get in there and function pretty well and play at a pretty high level right now.
Yeah. And then last question for me, you guys, for the portal and the transfers, you guys looked at a lot of different spots, but not many defensive tackles. What do you think about that defensive tackle group coming back?
Well, if you looked at, there's, the 8, I think there's 8 scholarship, 9 defensive tackles that we have. That's probably the deepest position that we would have. A number of those guys they've all played at various points. They've all contributed. So it just wasn't, I can't say we would never thought about looking in that direction as far as transfers, but we also knew that we were, we did have a lot of returning guys there as well. And we're playing a little bit differently, I would say, with our defensive line. I really like the addition of our new coaches, Coach Jim Panagos with the defensive tackles, Taiwo Anatola with our defensive ends, and Jordan Peterson with our corners. I feel like guys are all excellent coaches. So our style is a little bit different up front and just some of the small things about how we're doing it. And I think it's helping those guys to be more effective. And I think they're really embracing that. So I really feel good about our defensive tackle position. I think we can roll a number of guys through there who are all capable of performing well. So, I can't say again, if something would drop in our lap in terms of a transfer, well, then you're foolish not to consider those things in this day and age. But I don't know that that's a position where we just got to be on the hunt for something. I have confidence in the guys that are playing there right now.
Hey, Brian, you mentioned maybe a little bit there with the defensive tackles, but I guess what stylistically is different that you're asking them to do, and maybe even long-term, how would you describe the prototypical defensive tackle you're going to be looking for?
Well, we're asking them, we're just playing probably more on edges than we'd had last year a little bit. I'm not trying to compare, whatever coach. I'm not. I'm happy with the guys that are here, and they're doing a good job of coaching. And we're just playing on edges a little bit more. Really trying to get off the ball a little bit more. One of the things I think we needed to do from last year was we needed to just get off the ball better, more vertical, reset the line of scrimmage better than we did, play on the other side of the line of scrimmage, and so I think we put guys in probably a better position to do that. And so, and I think they like it, and I can see that we are getting some of those results, and feel like we weren't really very disruptive last year to the offense, and, in terms of resetting the line of scrimmage, getting tackles for loss, playing in the backfield. We just didn't last year very often. And that was more a matter of kind of the style at which we were trying to play. And so we're trying to give those guys the tools they need in order to do those things. And so again, so far so good. I'm really happy with how they've been doing.
And you also talked about the top four right now at safety. When you think about the guy that's going to play next to Kenny, is there a specific skill set that you look for, or what in particular are you looking for the guy that's going to start next to him?
Well, yeah, Kenny is really a solid. Obviously, he's a physical player. He's a solid in the run game. He's got things that he's going to really excel at. His counterpart, would be probably a guy that's probably a little bit more. Would play a little bit more, if I could say, to the field, in space, be able to match up well and run well with slot receivers and things like that. Not that Kenny can't do that, but that's, he's got value probably playing our boundary safety. That's probably his chief value. So the other player just needs to be a guy that's, got a skill set that he can, more of a premium on coverage, I would say. All three of those other guys that I mentioned are all those type of players, at least to a degree that I would feel comfortable putting any one of those three guys alongside Kenny.
And with Craig Young in particular, what has he maybe brought to the defense kind of through 5 practices now?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you guys how much guys have been able to watch, but you can see that he's a really a bona fide athlete, and his athleticism, his speed, his length is something that we need more of. And so he's been able to step in. He's a really versatile player for us. Playing the linebacker that plays to the field, but we go into some substitute packages. He's also learning our nickel position at the same time, so that we can go between our packages and he stays in, which is, it's a credit to his talent. But again, he's been so good in terms of just really being hungry to learn, hungry to just work hard all the time, weight room, anything that we're doing. He's all business. I just couldn't be happier with him and those other guys about just how they've gone. And it's obvious that Craig's going to have a role for us, and we're fortunate to have him.
Brian, when you look at the linebackers, you mentioned the depth on the defensive line, but you've got 3 guys coming back who were starters last year, and you've added obviously Craig now and then Eric. How do you envision that whole shaking out? Because it seems like you've got a lot of guys that are going to want a lot of snaps.
Well, yeah, I know. And I think that's a good problem to have if it does turn out to be a problem, because again, the more competitive depth you have, the better each player is going to be, because they're going to have to work to the level every day. And I think that just, if I know that I'm in a competitive battle, I'm going to be at my best, and iron's going to sharpen iron, and we're going to be better at that position. So I think there's plenty of usage for all those, for, up to a point, there's plenty of usage for guys. And we didn't have a lot of depth last year. We have certainly added some depth now, and it gives you pieces to work with and tools to use. And I could say, like, a guy like Taiwan Berryhill who played a lot for us last year, and he's like a different player this spring in terms of what he knows and the speed and accuracy at which he's playing. I think it's those kind of things I can see have really, it's helped him. Right. And so, we'll find a way, and we'll find a way that guys that need to play and can help us win, we'll find a way to get them on the field and have them help us win.
And then you look at a guy like Gavin who's able to come back, what's up with him? And then also, what is it like to have him back now and knowing that he'll be part of the team?
Did you say Gavin?
Yes.
Oh yeah, Gavin. So I'm just happy he's here. Again, he was one of our, our leading performers last year. I thought he really improved as the year went on. I'm glad he just had to work through a couple things and did, and he's back and we love him. And, he's made that decision to stick with us here. And I'm glad he did. I think it's in his best interest and our best interest, quite honestly. And so we put that in the rear view mirror. We look forward and happy he's here and look forward to what he's going to do here for us in the future.
Good time for one more.
Yeah, I guess, Brian, I'll take advantage of that. With Eric specifically, it looks like when he was at Auburn, he was more of a 4-3 inside backer, but he moved with Malzahn's system and didn't want to be part of that anymore. Is he look more natural as kind of the Mike there for you guys playing that middle role? What's his strengths and what's his attributes? What can he bring to you guys?
Yeah, Eric Gilliard is probably a true inside backer, a Mike backer for us. He's kind of built that way. He's really, if you watch him long enough, he's really got a good feel for diagnosing things and moving in crisp angles to get to the ball, which I think that really plays to his strength in the box. He's probably not an out of the box kind of a linebacker, so that's probably where he's going to go. He's doing a good job there's a lot to learn at that position. There's a lot to be able to communicate. And so there's a lot on that guy's plate. And again, he's embraced that role, and, he doesn't say a word, he's just all about it. And so, we have one of those, don't talk about it, be about it. He's just a be about it kind of a guy. And like I said, I know I can tell he's a good player and kind of anxious. We have maybe some more live stuff coming up this next practice, and just anxious to see him get some of those reps and to see how productive he can be. I have a feeling he'll be a really productive player.
Hey, thanks everyone. We have a couple players coming up.